Guys, if you've been following me and my channel, you would know I am now coming to do build number 2 as promised. And if you're not following my channel, you're not subscribed, go and get subscribed now. Right, build number 2 is for my kids, and because of the current world situation, this build has changed significantly since the Christmas present it was supposed to be. I'm going to be upgrading my main PC that I run the channel from to a Ryzen 5900X. I pre-ordered it on the 5th of November, and as to this day I'm still waiting on that pre-order. Now sadly that never happened and they never got their Christmas present, and I have been pretty much week by week hoping that the 5900X would be delivered, but as that isn't happening and they really need a PC, I decided, you know what, it's the kids, as every parent does, you always end up giving them the better stuff, and now they've got a Ryzen 5600X and a B550 gaming motherboard. They're going to have my Kraken X62 cooler because I am going to upgrade myself. I've now got the Kraken Z63. I'm going to be doing a separate install video for that. They've got a Corsair HX 850 watt power supply. That was going to be in my machine, but now I'm going to give it to them. Down here they've got a Samsung 970 EVO NVMe M.2 drive. They've got my old 1TB SSD, and they've got my old Corsair 16GB Corsair Vengeance RAM. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be putting all this together into the white Fractal Design Focus G case. Now I did, if you watch my channel or you want to go back and look at my previous build that I did for my brother-in-law, he had the graphite grey Fractal Design case. And my kids, because I got the case so cheap at the time, it was on a Black Friday deal, they picked the white case. Now my brother-in-law's build, it was pretty much a straightforward build. 2 fans at the front, 2 at the back, 1 in the rear, motherboard in, and it was all pretty simple. But with this we've got the Kraken 62, the Asus AIO, and I'm going to fit that into the front. But just doing some general eyeing up, I can already see a problem with the Fractal Design Focus G case, and I'm going to come to that later in the video. So before we start getting all of this together, can you spot the odd thing out? Yes, a lot of you are going to be triggered, a lot of you might already be commenting down what the F, but you cannot buy graphics cards at the moment. This is my spare graphics card that I've had for some time. This is what I put into a machine to get something up and running or testing, or have it as a backup for failure. This is not the graphics card that they're going to have. From my machine, they were going to have my RTX 2080 Ti. As there has been no RTX 3080 Ti, it's indefinitely at the minute been put on hold. You can't buy any graphics cards unless you go into the second-hand market. For now, to get the machine up and running, I'm dropping that in. It's HDMI, it's a HD card, it will work, it will do to get the machine working. As soon as I can get a better graphics card for the main PC that I run this channel on, they're going to have my RTX 2080 Ti, hence beefy power supply. Anyway, enough talk now, let's start getting this all together. So when I last used the Focus Design Fractal G case, it was a really simple case to work with. Fans are already mounted in the front, and I just added fans around the rest of the case. Because this time I'm going to be using an AIO, the Kraken X62, which is 280mm radiator, I'm just doing a quick test to make sure that everything marries up, because this will accept a 280mm radiator. But what I've noticed, because this case and the metal's a bit flimsy, this part here can flex out and it moves away from where the screw hole should be. Now if I line this up in the bottom here and line that up there, the holes aren't far out, but because these are threaded and they are allowed to flex in and out, they don't actually perfectly line up. And if you put the screw, these are the bolts that go through the fans that secure into the actual AIO on here. And what I've noticed is they're slightly out of line. So what I'm going to have to do is my own mod, all the corners for the 120mm fan connections, I'm actually going to drill them out so that they're no longer threaded, and I'm going to open the hole up so that I can easily align the fan into the AIO to secure it. The reason I'm doing this, first of all, before I do anything else, you are going to get some metal fragments. Obviously, metal and circuit boards don't mix. So my advice is, if you're doing any modifications like this, do it first, vacuum the case out, get any of the metal fragments out, and then you've never ever got to worry about components possibly short circuiting. Right, scary bit. So what I've done, I've got a 5mm drill, and I'm just going to drill the hole out to the 5mm diameter, and then I'll see how it looks. So I've just done a quick test fit marrying the AIO up to that. It is deceiving because this does flex in and out, and pushing it a bit closer it lines up, but the top's still slightly off. So I've increased drill size now to 7.5mm, and I'm just going to re-drill out the 8 holes and then give it another try. So after you've drilled your holes out, you want to make sure you get rid of the burrs around the edges. Definitely worth investing in chamfer tool like that, where you can just go in and then clean the burrs off that edge. Morning guys, so this is day 2 of the build. Filming was a little bit fractured yesterday. That's because of lockdown, we're all in the central location in the house, we're all around, and the kids, they just want the computer to play on, to be able to use it for schoolwork, etc, etc. And filming this takes so much time as you're doing stuff with interruptions. So really, I may have really jumped ahead. I think maybe from, depending how I put this video together, the last time you see me, I would have been drilling holes in the front of the case, which is a bit crazy for a brand new case. But machine's built, it's been tested, I've installed Windows. I just want to go over a few little things that I've sort of discovered. So what I've had to do to fit the AIO in, I've had to modify the front of the case. The hole pattern for the 120mm fans were threaded, but not only that, because the front of this case, the metal's really quite flimsy, there was a lot of flex, and when you would put the AIO, the radiator, at the back, it didn't perfectly line up. And not only that, because it was threaded, there was no adjustment room. There was no tolerance to move this, and whether it's because this radiator, the 280mm, protrudes slightly, not all the holes lined up. So I used a drill, I opened those up, and that's given me the opportunity to fit the fans and the radiator clamped to the front, and now it's in. That's perfectly solid. Round the back, what I've done, I've moved the 2 fans that come with the machine I've got one of them extracting at the top, I've got one of them extracting out the back. I could have gone to town, I could have put some fancy RGB in, all different coloured fans, made it really funky. For now, we just wanted to get this PC built and going, so we used what's come with the case. Now, something that I've come across, something that hadn't even crossed my mind, because we're using the HD 5070 as a temporary graphics card, because it's an older graphics card, it does not have a UEFI BIOS. Whether you could flash it with a UEFI BIOS with it being so old, I really don't know. The reason I'm mentioning this, when you're building a new modern machine, you really want to have the boot options set up to UEFI. Now, because this graphics card is not UEFI compatible, I've had to install the OS in the compatibility, the CSM, the compatibility support module, not enabling secure boot. So the disk is not using GPT, it's on the old master boot record. I'm fully aware that when I put my RTX 2080 Ti into this machine, we're going to have to reinstall Windows, because I want Windows set up in a UEFI environment with secure boot. The reason is that it lets the OS and Windows control the boot, they work in harmony. It's a lot more secure than the old school other OS CSM system, but it is what it is for the minute, guys. Until I can get my hands on a newer graphics card, this is just a temporary solution. Now, even though Sapphire Radeon HD 5770 is an old card, it gives us 2 times DVI, 1 times DisplayPort, 1 times HDMI. We've run this yesterday. It plays Roblox like at the drop of a hat. Minecraft, in the Minecraft beta version that we've got running on here, because we were running Minecraft RTX when it was on my main PC. It's knocking out at 1080p max settings about 30 to 35 frames per second. Not the 60 on my machine, but more than playable and more than acceptable for a temporary solution. Now, where I'm left at now is the kids keep saying to me, Dad, is it hard to put the sides on? When are we going to get the sides on? When are you going to put the front on? When's it going to be finished? Well, before I'm going to actually finish it off, I need to do some cable tidying, because that's just a bunch of wires at the minute. And having a full-size ATX power supply in this case doesn't give you many options to hide the wires, but it's fairly clean looking. And now I've had a lot more experience with the NZXT Kraken X62. In this build, I've actually arranged it so the NZXT is the right way, because I know some of you, even when it was in my case, were bothered that I put it the wrong way around. And not only that, in messing with the orientation, I've now got the pipes pointing down, and because this is a shorter length GPU, it's given me the opportunity to set this AIO, the all-in-one water cooler, up in its correct configuration of radiator and housing and pipes at the bottom, with it going up to the top of the pump there, so I was quite pleased with that. So I'm now going to get the cables tidied the best that I can, and then we're going to go and put it up in the girls' room.
Did it hold it?
I'll just put the cable clips in for the Ethernet wires. What I'm doing now, I'm going to be mounting the plug board to the wall. So I don't know whether you can see on the camera, whether it's too dark in here, but I've just roughly, we're using dad measurements, just roughed out height from the top there, centre point, and then 135mm apart. I just got these cheap raw plugs over from a desk build or whatever it is. I've measured the end against the drill. I'm just going to rough in two 5.5mm holes just so I can get the raw plug in, and then I've got a screw into that to mount the plug, because it's plasterboard, and even though that's a light plug socket, if things are pulled in and out, I'm going to use raw plugs just so it's alright. Hopefully we don't drill into anything we shouldn't be, but I'm not going to even do a pilot hole. I'm happy with where it is. That should be deep enough. And that should. Just push in. That's one. Number two. Right, your screws don't want to protrude. Wait, sorry, you don't want to screw your screws in too far. You're going to have them protruding out so the plug board can sit over it. And this is the moment of truth, really. Whether your dad measurements are right or not. Let's see if that fits on. In the right place. Oh, look at that. I'm not going to get the spirit level out, but I'm happy with that. Job done. Guys, I'm just behind the camera for the minute, so just so you guys at home can get an idea of the performance of this 6-core 12-thread CPU. I've just run a Cinebench test, and you can see there it's got a score of 10,987. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to rerun that. I'm actually really amazed by how much the Ryzen 5000 series has come, because just looking on that test there, a AMD Ryzen 5700X, the 8-core processor that I've got in my machine downstairs, that got a score on here of 8,889, and this is the 6-core 12-thread Ryzen 5600X, and we're currently, as you can see, that's just running the test round now. With a Kraken X62 on this CPU, it's running really cool. I'm just going to bring up NZXT. And while the machine's at 100% load, temperature there at the minute is 49 degrees. Now the machine's been on for at least 20 minutes, half an hour. My daughter's just been playing Roblox. We're just going to come minimise that for a minute. Oh. It's the machines, there you go. As you can see, whether I've influenced that test doing that. And we've just got a score of 10,897, same again. This processor, bloody amazing. I mean, anyone thinking again a Ryzen CPU, like me, if you've got an old 8-core 16-thread, this is faster. I'm actually be interested to see if I could, rendering videos or stuff in Adobe, how it would perform against my 1700X, even though it's overclocked to 3.9 GHz. What I'm going to do, when I've got the cooler back on my machine downstairs, I'll run Cinebench and I'll compare the scores. Something else I wanted to mention, that as you can see down there, you've got the Asus, the Aorus running. Now, because this is in a bedroom at night, the girls don't want that flashing away. And I'm just going to quickly show you in the BIOS how to do that. There we go, we're into the BIOS. If we go into Advanced and you go into the AMP configuration, what you need to do, this part here where it says ERP ready, you need to set that to enabled on S4 and S5. And what that does, when the machine completely powers off, it doesn't leave the low voltage to the board, and that enables the Aorus and everything's completely shut off. With those settings, it will run when the machine is on, which is what we've been looking for. Right guys, that's it for this video. If you've got any questions about the build or anything that we've done in this, anything you want to ask, comment down below. Thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you very soon in lots more videos to come. Peace out.